The Romanov family ruled Russia for centuries. Tsar Nicholas II, the last Romanov Tsar, was deeply devoted to his family. He had a loving wife, Alexandra, and 5 children: Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexei. Anastasia, the youngest daughter, was known for her playful spirit and mischievous nature. However, beneath the surface of their charmed lives, a storm was brewing. Russia was a nation in turmoil. Social unrest and economic hardship were widespread. The Tsar's autocratic rule was increasingly unpopular. By the early 20th century, the Romanov dynasty was teetering on the brink of collapse. The year 1914 brought the outbreak of World War I. Russia's involvement in the war proved disastrous. Millions died and the economy spiraled further downward. The Russian people, weary of war and suffering, began to demand change. In 1917, the long-simmering discontent in Russia boiled over. The February Revolution forced Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate. The Romanov dynasty, which had ruled Russia for over 300 years, came to an abrupt end. The Tsar and his family were placed under house arrest, their fate uncertain. The provisional government, initially intending to send the Romanovs to exile in England, found itself unable to act. The ongoing war and the growing influence of the Bolsheviks complicated their plans. Meanwhile, the Romanovs remained confined, their future hanging precariously in the balance. As the year progressed, the Bolsheviks, led by the ruthless Vladimir Lenin, gained more power. The Bolsheviks viewed the Tsar and his family as symbols of oppression. They believed that the Romanovs posed a threat to their vision of a communist Russia. The Romanovs were moved from one location to another. They were held captive first in their own palace, then at Tsarskoye Selo. Finally, they were transferred to Tobolsk, a remote town in Siberia. Despite the hardships of captivity, the family remained close. They found solace in their faith and in each other's company. They lived in constant fear, however. They knew that their situation was precarious, their lives hanging by a thread. Their captors were becoming increasingly hostile. The children, once accustomed to a life of luxury and privilege, learned to adapt to their new circumstances. They helped with chores, read books, and found ways to entertain themselves. Anastasia, known for her lively spirit, tried to maintain a sense of normalcy amid the turmoil. On the night of July 17, 1918, the Romanov family's worst fears were realized. The night was dark and filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the distant sounds of the city. They were awakened in the dead of night and told to dress. The urgency in the soldiers' voices left no room for questions or hesitation. They were then led down to the basement of the house where they were being held. Each step echoed ominously in the narrow stairwell. The family, confused and afraid, huddled together in the dimly lit cellar. The air was thick with tension and the smell of damp stone. They still held on to a sliver of hope that they were merely being moved again. Perhaps they thought this was just another relocation in their long captivity. That hope was shattered when Yakov Yurovsky, the commander of the guards, entered the room accompanied by armed men. The atmosphere grew even more tense. Yurovsky read aloud a brief and chilling statement. His voice was cold and devoid of any emotion. The statement declared that the Ural Soviet, acting on the orders of the central government, had sentenced the Romanov family to death. The words hung heavily in the air. The Tsar, his wife, and their 5 children were then brutally gunned down in a hail of bullets. The sound of gunfire was deafening in the confined space. The execution was swift and brutal. There was no mercy, no hesitation. The bodies were hastily loaded onto a truck and taken away. The night swallowed the evidence of the atrocity. The Romanov dynasty, once a symbol of Russia's imperial might, was extinguished in a single horrifying act. The echoes of that night would reverberate through history. Section 5. Whispers in the aftermath. Did Anastasia survive? The news of the Romanovs' execution sent shockwaves across Russia and the world, leaving many in disbelief and sorrow. Many refused to believe that the entire family had been killed, clinging to hope amidst the tragedy. Rumors circulated, particularly about Anastasia's fate, sparking curiosity and intrigue. Some whispered that she had miraculously survived the massacre, escaping the grim fate that befell her family. These rumors were fueled by several factors, each adding to the mystery. The initial announcement of the execution stated that only Nicholas and Alexandra had been killed, leaving the fate of their children uncertain. The fate of the children was left ambiguous, leading to widespread speculation. Additionally, the bodies of the Romanovs, hastily buried in a secret location, were not immediately recovered, adding to the enigma. The lack of conclusive proof and the persistent rumors created fertile ground for speculation, with many theories emerging. Hope mingled with uncertainty, giving rise to one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century, the fate of Anastasia Romanov. Had Anastasia Romanov truly perished with her family, or had she somehow escaped the assassin's bullets, living a life shrouded in secrecy? Section 6. Anna Anderson, the most famous claimant. Over the years, numerous women came forward claiming to be Anastasia. The most famous of these was Anna Anderson. Anderson emerged in Germany in the 1920s, claiming to have escaped the execution with the help of a sympathetic guard. Anderson bore a striking resemblance to the Grand Duchess. She possessed detailed knowledge of the Romanov family and their life in the Russian court. This convinced many people, including some distant Romanov relatives, of the legitimacy of her claim. However, Anderson's story was also riddled with inconsistencies. She refused to speak Russian, claiming she could only communicate in German and English. She exhibited erratic behavior and seemed reluctant to provide concrete proof of her identity. Section 7. Other pretenders, adding to the intrigue. Anna Anderson was not the only woman to claim the mantle of Anastasia. Over the years, several other women came forward. Each had her own elaborate story of survival and escape. Each fueled the public's fascination with the mystery. These women, often motivated by a desire for fame, fortune, or simply to escape their own troubled lives, captivated the public imagination. Their claims, though ultimately unsubstantiated, added layers to the already complex narrative surrounding Anastasia's fate. The Anastasia legend became a media sensation. Books, movies, and even a popular animated musical were inspired by the enduring mystery. The world seemed captivated by the idea that a young princess could have escaped such a grim fate. The mystery of Anastasia Romanov remained unsolved for decades. In 1979, amateur historians discovered a grave near Yekaterinburg, the city where the Romanovs had been executed. This discovery rekindled the search for the truth. The skeletal remains of 9 individuals were exhumed from the grave. Forensic analysis confirmed that the remains belonged to Tsar Nicholas II, Tsarina Alexandra, and 3 of their daughters. 2 bodies were missing, Alexei and one of the daughters, believed to be either Maria or Anastasia. This discovery, while significant, did not put the Anastasia debate to rest. The missing bodies fueled further speculation. Some argued that the absence of Anastasia's remains lent credence to the survival theories. In the 1990s, significant advances in DNA technology provided the essential tools needed to definitively solve the long-standing mystery of the Romanov family. Samples taken from the exhumed remains were meticulously compared to DNA from living relatives of the Romanovs, including Prince Philip of Britain, who was a grandnephew of Tsarina Alexandra. This comparison was crucial in establishing a genetic link. The comprehensive DNA analysis proved conclusively that the remains found in the Yekaterinburg grave did indeed belong to the Romanov family, putting to rest decades of speculation and uncertainty. The detailed analysis also confirmed that the missing bodies were those of Alexei and Maria, the youngest children of Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra. Anastasia, contrary to the persistent and widespread rumors that had circulated for years, had not survived the brutal execution. Further extensive DNA testing in the late 1990s provided the final, irrefutable piece of the puzzle, confirming the identities of the remains. Samples from Anna Anderson, who had died in 1984, were carefully compared to the Romanov DNA to verify her claims. The results were conclusive and undeniable. Anderson was not related to the Romanovs in any way, debunking her long-held claim. Her claim, along with the claims of all other pretenders, was definitively disproven, bringing an end to one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. The tragic story of the Romanovs, once shrouded in mystery and speculation, finally reached its resolution. The DNA evidence provided irrefutable proof that the entire family, including Anastasia, had perished in Yekaterinburg in 1918. The Romanov family's story serves as a reminder of the brutal realities of revolution and the enduring power of hope. While the mystery of Anastasia's survival has been laid to rest, their story continues to fascinate and resonate with people around the world. The Romanovs' legacy is a complex one, marked by both the grandeur of their reign and the tragic circumstances of their downfall. Their story is a stark reminder of the fragility of power and the human cost of political upheaval. Make sure to subscribe for more.